said Ghana is regarded as a beacon of peace in Africa, and the UN is prepared to support the Peace Council to protect and sustain the peace in the country.
As we prepare for the UN Climate Conference in Glasgow, keep pushing governments to commit to net zero emissions by the middle of the century.
The chairman for the National Peace Council, Reverend Ernest Edujemfi, said Ghana is ranked as the second most peaceful country in Africa and 38th in the world out of 163 countries reviewed. He added that with this accomplishment, Ghana is steadily making progress in its quest to ensure sustainable peace.
Burkina Faso, Ghana's northern neighbor, has had to battle violent extremists for some time now. It is important that we in Ghana take steps to consolidate our peace and intentionally close any gaps, such as unemployment, fundamentalism, maladministration, that could allow for the growth of violent extremism in the country.
The International Day of Peace was established in 1981 by the UN General Assembly as a day devoted to strengthening the ideals of peace through observing 24 hours of non-violence and ceasefire. Each year, the International Day of Peace is observed around the world on September 21.
Some public sector workers in the northern region took to the streets today to mount pressure on the leadership of the Trades Union Congress TUC to go back and renegotiate the salary increments announced by government 3 months ago. The workers say the 4% and 7% increments for 2021 and 2022 respectively are unacceptable and blamed the leadership of the TUC for failing to strongly represent workers in the country. Our Northern Regional Correspondent Mutala Issa spoke with some executives of the Public Sector Workers Union on the matter.
Basically, they want the 4% and 7% increment for 2021 and 2022 to be scrapped up and a new negotiation initiated to bring them up. They said they are disappointed in the leadership of TUC and organized labor generally, and they think that the 4% and 7% for next year is a slap in the face of workers in this country. The secretary for the coalition, Mr. Salam, indicated that to have accepted 7% increment for 2022 without knowing the budget for 2022 is an unacceptable situation, and that what happens if government decides to increase taxes at a rate that it consumes completely the 7% increment. So they are calling basically on organized labor to go back to the negotiating table. They indicated that if indeed the COVID-19 has affected revenue, then the increment at 4% and 7% should cut across. But they are quite disappointed that the executive have increased their salaries at such a high rate, whilst the general workforce, who bear most of the brunt of this increment in taxes, are left at this very low level. So they are calling for equity when it comes to salary increment as well.
Hundreds of residents in the Western region took part in the Fix the Country demonstration in Takoradi to press home their demands for the government to tackle corruption, unemployment and kidnappings in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis. Our Western regional correspondent Desmond Kujo was on hand to fill us in on the details.
No petition was presented. What they did was that they just spoke to the people, the demonstrators, who were mainly in yellow and the red T-shirts, with the face of hand in front of the T-shirts. They spoke to them, explained to them the need for the people to impress on the government to fix the country, because there are a myriad of issues that confront the people, particularly the youth. And they mentioned the poor road network that we have, particularly in the Western region, unemployment situation, kidnappings, the infamous Takoradi kidnapping, former girls, and the recent one where a pregnant woman was also reportedly missing, was recently found. So these are some of the issues that the people talked about, as well as the governance system they need to fix it to make it responsive to the needs of the people.
It's a new dawn for electric vehicles. Here in Ghana, Solar Taxi is assembling electric solar cars locally to meet the day-to-day transportation needs. The added attraction is that Solar Taxi gives Ghanaian women the opportunity to break gender norms. Described as the stroke of a genius, this is Ghana's maiden all-female engineering firm, creating green solutions for the automobile industry. Solar Taxi is Africa's premier company to commercialize electric vehicles on large-scale adoption, and it's on track to provide 10 million vehicles by 2030. A report by Shelley Bewa.
Introduced more than 100 years ago, electric cars are seeing a rise in popularity today for many of the same reasons they were first popular. Electric vehicles are not just the wave of the future, they are saving lives today. Here in Ghana, Solar Taxi is the trailblazer.
Our economy, close to about 70% of the economic activity depends on transportation. The transportation sector is the only sector when there's a slightest increase in fuel, it affects everything from food costs to even education, healthcare, everything get affected. So the idea was to find a sustainable means of transportation that will help to deal with something like that. So we built our first prototype in 2018. And then we move on to scaling that up from 2019, late 2019, we moved to Accra. And then, we are now operating in Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, Tamale.
Our first prototype that we came out with had a solar panel directly on top of it, okay, whereby the solar panel directly, charges the battery and then the car can move. And that was very successful. And based on that, we had we were able to secure our funding from MasterCard Foundation. But aside from that, we also have the purely electric cars. So we have two models, the one that has a solar panel directly on top, and then the one that has fully electric. Yeah.
Solar Taxi assembles a variety of vehicle options, including motorcycles, tricycles, sedans, hatchbacks, and SUVs. It also provides charging points and maintenance for electric vehicles. Embracing gender equality and inclusion, its staff comprises 80% women.
I've been working here for the past two years, some few months, and it has been an amazing one because I realized that working in the engineering field has to do with continuous learning. We are learning every day, and we dealing with electric cars is something that is new in this country.
Solar Taxi actually gave us, we female, opportunity to come to this noble firm to come and learn more about the engineering field as an aspiring engineer. So I'm still learning. It's this month working with Solar Taxi, and it has been interesting.
We have also set up the Female Engineering Academy, which has already trained over 60 female engineers on how to assemble solar-powered vehicles. The best part about the project is that these electric vehicles are not charged by our traditional source of electricity, but rather solar hubs built by the organization to provide the electrical power needed to charge these vehicles.
We've already mapped out places in the country whereby we put charging stations over there. And now this charging station will not only be on the grid, we also have solar panels directly on top of them. That powers the charging station so that it can also power the car. And these are some of the things that we are doing to be able to mitigate the challenges of power problem in Ghana.
Solar Taxi is all about using clean, renewable energy to solve problems. Utilizing solar power is a perfect fit for Ghana because the country is said to receive 1,800 to 3,000 hours of sun annually. In addition, electric vehicles produce fewer carbon emissions than standard vehicles. The progress of Solar Taxi brings Ghana closer to its goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 15% by 2030.
The opportunity to go green is an urgent call, and yes, the economic benefit is real too, but we need to create an economy that is also sustainable, an economy that doesn't pollute for us to survive, economy that we don't need to make pollution for us to grow or prosper, so that we can enjoy our wealth and prosperity with good health.
Started in September 2018, it was launched by Kumasi Hive in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. Now, there's a way to commute responsibly and even cheaper. The future is most certainly electric. For GBC News, Shelley Bewa reporting.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News, the News and Governance channel. The 28-year-old pregnant woman who was reported missing on September 16 has appeared at the Axim and currently on admission at the Axim Government Hospital. Family members on Thursday, September 16, reported that the 28-year-old Madame Josephine Penny Simmons, who was 9 months pregnant, had disappeared.
And Mr. Michael Simmons, his mother-in-law, who was taking care of his wife since she was in her last stage of pregnancy, called to inform him that his wife, after her usual early morning walk from the house in Colombia in Takrady to the Park Branch roundabout, never returned. He said frantic efforts were made to locate her by calling her friends, visiting hospitals, thinking she had probably been sent there due to her late stage in pregnancy, but they were not successful. He also said someone called her mother-in-law demanding a ransom, but the person dropped the line later and switched off the phone. The case was subsequently reported to the police station, and a court order sought to enable the telephone service provider to release details about the said number. While the police were still investigating the matter, information came this morning that the missing woman had been found in Axim. A resident, Mr. Kwesi Nana, came upon the woman at the premises of a Jehovah's Witnesses Kingdom Hall at Tulenu in Axim in tears. He said he initially mistook her for a mentally challenged person as she was unable to speak but only make gestures. She later asked for a paper and pen with which she wrote her pastor's name.
Okay.
You don't do me gas at all.
House where?
Where 12 now? I bump 12 woken. Now what's in me? I go wide. Where you need to name woman or hand over there and me actually. Okay, kingdom one. Oh, that I a chapel.
Okay.
Into the man or I'm better. Into now I make up that.
It's a hand over there.
Over that. No chance.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Josephine Simmons is currently responding to treatment at the Axim Hospital, where there is a heavy police presence.
Agogo has been associated with Fulani herdsmen in the past, but that's the unenviable part of its story. Agogo is a beautiful town in the Ashanti region. It is actually a naturally walled town, and for many, it's a home away from home. In this report, we'll share with you parts of its history.
From oral history, we are told that in the 1600s, two elders from the Asuna clan by name Edrako and Fimponeko and some female family members migrated from a village called Akwokari to this village now called Agogo. Akwokari is in the Bekwai area of the Ashanti region, and since there were no vehicles back in the day, these elders, locally known as Nanano, walked all the way from Akwokari to Agogo. As they walked through the forest, climbing hills and mountains, they came to meet a clean stream which was very cool and refreshing. They exclaimed in the local parlance that, "Ah, ya bre, ya go," meaning we are weak, tired and exhausted. This is because they had run out of water and food for a while. They then quenched their thirst with the refreshing water. That is how Agogo derived its name from Agogoa. Due to the conducive nature of this place, they made it their abode. The Achamehene to the Omahene of the Agogo traditional area, Nana Boachi Yadom, accompanied by the Konte Hene and Akwemu Hene, walked us through the history of how Agogo came by its name.
According to history, it was a very small stream, but then it was surrounded by trees, and then it was very cold and it could quench your thirst. So when they sat beside it, they gave it a name that it should be called Agogowa. In P, when you say something is what, or you give a name and then you add what to it, it means small. So it was a small stream.
50 years later, another group of people from the Aduana clan also arrived in Agogoa to join the Asuna clan family. In the course of their stay, they intermarried, and that increased their population.
These are people who came at first were Asuna clan, from the Asuna clan. So it took about 50 years for the Aduana clan to also arrive here. But then when they came, they had a lot of men. And then they took these women who had arrived earlier as wives.
Agogo is a full-grown state with a population of about 90,000. The community has several towns and villages under it. The people celebrate the Akweja Siakwine Festival, which is a festival of peace, thanksgiving, love and harmony among the communities. Until recently, another festival, which is called Plantain Festival, celebrated in October, is being introduced. The Plantain Festival was introduced by the Omanhene of the Agogo traditional area, Nana Kwame Akwo-Kosapon, who has reigned as a paramount chief for 43 years.
And the full version of this story on Agogo will be on your screens soon.
Time to take a quick breather. You're back shortly. Please do stay.